Good morning. I did some more work on Uncle Dorkel off camera. Not a lot, but I got a board in the back here. Put the light on here. You might be able to see it. And I got it, well, right now I think the glue is dry. Now I can remove this. I got a board in the back here. I glued it and I put the masking tape on so that I can mount this board, because I was trying to screw into the cardboard and this foam rubber behind that. And what it was doing is the screw was just going into the foam rubber, and it was like turning like this and springing back, turning back. You can't screw foam rubber. So I had to make a backing for it, and I would keep adding stuff to this, and it's going to be 100 pounds pretty soon. And I also put a board up into here in case I want to put a motor in here in the future, but at least I'll have a good surface to mount it on. Well, he sent me some of these here. So I have to put some leads on them. They're very tricky putting leads in them. And he sent me the MOVs. It says 27 volt MOVs. So, not sure exactly where I'm going to put the MOV. I have to add extension leads on that, on the MOVs, so I can connect them to something. I decided to put the fuse holder on the wireless board, on the board itself, and this whole board would be mounted to the back over here on this 1/4-inch luan that you see back there. Okay, temporarily I got the board secured in there. There's one screw that holds the whole thing in here, and then there's a screw that holds the fuse holder in down here at the bottom. And that screw is just going into a drilled hole in the wood, so it acts as a centering pin, so this thing won't swivel around. So temporarily I got it in there. I got to wire all this up. I was going to put the MOV up in here, but I have to put a terminal strip somewhere in this area so that I can mount the MOV on the terminal strip and connect it across the motor itself, the motor wires themselves. One side of the motor, of course, is going to be connected to the fuse. First of all, thank you, Jim, for sending me these. I appreciate it. I'm going to try to make the extend the leads on at least one of them now to get this into the circuit. And I'm going to pull the board back out again. I hope these wires don't break off with all the flexing going on. And now I'm going to put a terminal strip or something up there so I can mount the MOV on the board, rather than to try to mount it across the motor terminals, which are right here, the blue and the red. It would be very difficult for me to, even with the leads extended, to get them under the screws there, because I just can't see that. I got to get my face in there, and I can't. The closest I can get to this is 1 foot away. And although I can see it, I can't see it in detail in order to get the wire under the screw. So these wires here, when they come down, and they're connected to the board, which are a little long, but they need to be, so I can do it out here.
Also, the tax-free thing, like what was saying about
I'm going to strip the wires here.
Businesses just go on here. It's not, I don't know, I just don't see it changing anytime soon. It's unfortunate. I live in Norwich. There's a lot of people who don't live in Norwich that have a critical opinion.
Because I can't see to get in the groove here.
They don't live here. So, I don't know. It just, what's that?
So what is it? You're just bothered about Laurel Hill?
No. Just Norwich in the hole, you know.
Now let me turn the radio off. Put the soldering station on. I must be going into too small of a gauge here. I gotta prepare these leads now. So I got 2 pigtails made up that are going to go on the MOV. They may be longer than necessary. So what I'm going to do now is tin the wire here. It's almost up to heat. I'm gonna have to try to tack solder it onto the MOV, and I don't know how successful I'm gonna be. I can't even hook and pinch it because the leads are that short on the MOV. I think they're made for printed circuit. So the first thing I want to do, if I can see where the solder is going here, is to tin these up good. Now, using the magnifier on this thing.
Oh, this MOV is just flopping around in here. I don't know. Let's see if that took it all. You won't believe how short these leads are in this MOV. Well, not a very good solder connection on one side here. But it's the best I can do. Let's see if I can get it. Now that I can't even get it into the clip. It's not enough magnification. Can't see that. Just can't see that. I'll have to carry the solder over on the iron. The wrong way to solder, but like I said before, you have no choice. Well, it's on there. Just barely. These MOVs are, TNR, Tony, Nancy, Richard.
Alright, I got a little terminal strip here. This is the fuse holder for the arm motor. So, one side of the MOV will go on one lead of the motor. So these green wires, one of them will go to one terminal and the other one will go to the other terminal, MOV across that. And then the fuse will go in series with one leg of the motor. So that's how we're going to do that. I'll show you afterwards if you can't see it now, because I have all I can do to see what I'm doing here with this. solder to the fuse holder right now.
Okay. Now, this side here is ready to be soldered. With the MOV and the motor wires all together.
Well, that's the best I can do. I had to pump a lot of solder in there. I just couldn't see where it was going. But it's solid. Oh. I'll tell you, I do not take pride in my work at all. I could have soldered this onto here, but it's too hard for me to see because I'd have to bring it way up into here to do it. So I had to add an extension to this. I have no choice. This one, I could do it because it's out here where I can see it. Lousy, lousy workmanship, all I can say. I had an awful time with these connections here, soldering them. I'm not even going to give you a close-up of that. I'm sure that you might have seen some of it already. I'm pretty ashamed of my work. But this is the way I got to do it. Alright, let me get some solder on that and then slide up this heat shrink here. We'll do that off camera. Okay, we got the connection made here, soldered. Fuse in. MOV in. And hopefully if the wires don't... There's been a lot of flexing here. I just hope they're not going to break off on me. It's not solid wire. It's stranded, but still. Alright, let's get this in here. Okay, the power's turned on. Relay board wireless is lit. Arm is C and D. Let's see if it works. Down. Up. And try the head here. Okay. Seems to be working quite well. Now we got a mess of wires in here. And what I'm going to do with these is I'm just going to take a cable tie, gently snug them all up and just tuck them over into the corner here. I can't help it. As I said so many times before, I have to have long, long leads so I can work out here when I'm hooking things up. I would never be able to see to get them in there any other way. So I think it came out okay. I think the batteries are going in this light here. Alright, so this is the motor wires here. The MOV is across the motor. So we're all set with that. Yeah, it's quite difficult to do all the drilling and everything else in the shop here needed to, you know, mount this board onto another piece of plywood, a Luan, a 1/4 inch Luan. But it has to be done. It's way too cold outside to do anything. Off camera, I'm going to finally address this here situation. I'm going to turn them around. I'm going to bring out some slack from the pulley that's inside here. As you can see up there, there's quite a bit of rope on the pulley. I want to reverse the motor and pull out some of that cord, wrap it around the wrist, like I said I was going to do, and secure it on the wrist. And if I have to remove this here, I can unwind it from the wrist and pull it out. This way it'll enable me to pull out the whole motor and work on it like I did when I put it in. because if I ever have to get it out, or if I ever have to get at the Gordo's board, there's a screw that holds the Gordo's board in right up here. You may not be able to see that, but it's right there on the top. And I need access to that. Okay, it's been a few hours, and I did quite a bit. I took out the charging jack here, which was not connected anyways, to charge the battery while it's in DORKEL. We're not going to deal with that anymore because we always take the battery out anyways. Now I'm in the process of wiring. I got one more wire to put in here to connect up. The eyes are already connected. The resistor is in the back here, and it's a 32.5 ohm resistor. It's in series with the eye motor. So the eyes are connected up, and the remote control wire has been wired. This is the wire I found. It's 4 conductor with a shield, stranded, 20 gauge. I'm ashamed to tell you this, but it took me over an hour to solder on 4 wires to this Canon connector. These are some Canon connectors that I had in a box, a small box of stuff that I took from the old shop. So this will plug into here. And there's about 30 feet of wire here. I have more. So the wire is roughly about a 1/4 inch in diameter. But I had an awful time with this. I'm glad I didn't do it on video, because I'm not exaggerating. It took me over an hour. Strands kept shorting out. I could not trim them off because I could not see what I was doing. I just could not see. So I managed to get the strands out of the way. I trimmed some of them so that they weren't shorting, and I pushed down the rest with needle nose. It's a terrible, terrible soldering job. I would not want to show it to you, but it's not shorted. So right now, in addition to everything I did here, after connecting this to positive, there's 4 wires in this jack. 2 wires are for the mouth solenoid that goes to the Gordo board. 12 volt positive is going in there, and the eye wire, which needs 12 volts to operate, it goes through the resistor, so it drops it down to about 6 volts, so it fluctuates because of the current draw as the motor is working. So all I got to do is connect up the other end, make a homemade remote or something with 2 buttons on it. One for the mouth trigger solenoid, and the other one for the eyes, which, like I say, are not working good, but I wanted to have those wires in there. I made all the changes here on the arm that I said I was going to do. I slacked off the cabling, so I got the cabling wrapped around here and a couple of wire ties so I can remove it and bring it back out, so that there's not that much on the spool up here. So if I have to service it, I can. Now, I made a little modification here. I want these arms to hang kind of like this. So in the elbow, I stuck a little piece of Teflon tubing in there. Wedged it in between the PVC and the bolt that goes through, so that the arm does not go down straight. I think it'll look more natural if his arms were not straight on his sides. Also, it makes it easier for me to carry him, because you can see the arms are not being forced backwards like they were before when I'm carrying him, and his arms end up going out here like that. And the same with this side. So I'm going to finish this up, and I'm going to make up the remote control. I don't know, I got to look for something, some kind of a little box or something to put those two buttons out in for the, you know, the mouth and the eyes. And then I'll probably use double-face tape and put this remote on that box or whatever I'm going to use. I just have to look for something that I could use for that. I haven't figured out what I'm going to use yet, but I'll come up with something. I'm hoping that I don't have to have a permanent wired mouth solenoid, but for now, yes. And this can stay in there if I make the changes. The wire is easily accessible right here to make a connection in here for the mouth on the Gordo's board. And the same with the eyes. I can get out all this stuff in here. So I'm going to end this video now. It's probably been way too long. I have my bigger heater in here. I disconnected the other one. That's only 250 watts. And when it's real cold, it does nothing. So I got to leave this on. It's 750 on high and 350 on low. So I keep it on 350. Because winter's here. There's no snow yet, but the winter temperatures are here. Okay. That's it. I got to put this together. Hopefully I can get this out. But I want to do this off camera. Finish this up tonight. And I'll go in the house and watch YouTube videos. YouTube was down yesterday for a couple hours. Roughly around 9:30, 10 o'clock last night. But I guess it was worldwide. So hopefully everything's working okay now. It was this morning when I turned it on. Okay, thanks for watching.